Book of Ecclesiastes has often been avoided by people who feel overwhelmed by the view of life offered in its pages. Like the Book of Job, it refuses to dodge hard questions of life and does not allow easy solutions. Interpreters of the book have struggled with the issues it raises, leading to some question of the orthodoxy of the author or whether the book even belongs in the Old Testament. In conclusion, it is not impossible that Solomon was Kohelet, but evidence to the contrary is sufficient to make it doubtful. Not only is Kohelet's identity concealed, but it seems that though his wisdom is presented in the book, he was not the author. Hey, what up? How you doing, BJ? Good to see you, my man. You having a good morning? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on authorship. I just don't think it's helpful. Interesting info, but not relevant, I don't think, terribly. Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good, man. Hope you're doing well. What up? Good to see you, Carlton. Ben? Is Martin sabotaging you? Guys, we're working through Ecclesiastes. Excited to have you guys here. I think my first sermon isn't going to be on a specific verse, but just on some of the broad, overarching themes of Ecclesiastes. Kara, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Happy birthday, Kara. I didn't know that. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I'm out of tea. I'm out of tea. I need more tea. I demand tea. Start it with Drake lyrics? No, we're not doing that. Kara, we're all old. Welcome to the club. The purpose of Kohelet was to contend that there is nothing under the sun that is capable of giving meaning to life. Even if some level of fulfillment or self-satisfaction were achieved, death is waiting at the end. Frustration and adversity are unavoidable. Wow, check these out. Interesting. From the Louvre? That's pretty cool. Oh, you started that paper with Drake lyrics. I see. Old and rickety, huh? Yeah, I feel you. Oh, that's interesting. Very nice, Carlton. I like that. Retelling of Genesis 3? Ben, that's enough out of you. Did you clip that, Ben? Because she, after the stream last night, she played it. She played that little clip after the stream last night. She wanted to see it. It's pretty funny. Stead, what is up? How you doing? Good morning to you. Or afternoon if it's afternoon where you're at. How are you? Message of Ecclesiastes is that the course of life to be pursued is a God-centered life. Yeah, it looks like there's some degree of discussion about whether or not Kohelet is theologically sound. Instead, I'm good. Yes, it's afternoon. Wanted to change things up and stream on Church's channel instead of yours. Yeah, for sermon prep, Stead. So we've run into an issue with sermon prep on the Pastor Tanner channel. Sermon prep is the foundation on which Pastor Tanner Ministries was built, but since we've been growing, we have attracted a different audience who's looking for different content. And so on the Pastor Tanner channel, it's no longer appropriate to do sermon prep. All of our sermon prep streams on the Pastor Tanner channel do much worse than all of the other streams. And not only that, the people who are in attendance expect me to continuously answer questions. You know, they want to redeem T redemptions, they want to do FSDs, they want to do dabs, all that type of stuff. And sermon prep is meant to be a little bit more of a mature audience, and me really focused on getting some work done while I hang out with you guys. So we made the decision to go ahead and move all of sermon prep to Saturdays rather than in inserting them midweek with the rest of the streams. And so the streams are now just focused on games and topical lessons, whereas Saturdays themselves are focused on sermon prep. And it seemed like the most ideal and perfect way to do that would be to completely isolate the Saturday stream onto the Church's channel instead. So that's why we did it. Martin, I actually use a straightener. Jess recently bought me a beard straightener, and it just heats up, and I just comb my beard with the beard straightener, and it straightens it out. I think it looks much better straightened out. It was getting really curly, and so we made some adjustments there. Ben, I can't believe you clipped the whole thing. All right, gonna get some tea going. Yeah, so that's why we did that instead. Just all in all, made more sense to move it. You know, the world needed that song. Fair enough. I told Jess she should do more impromptu songs. She's actually pretty quick on her feet, and she can think of some pretty cool impromptu songs, you know? Oh, that's awesome, Stead. Well, thank you. Yeah, it was getting really curly and really hard to manage, I'm gonna be honest. And so Jess, for Christmas, she was like, look, I like the beard, but it needs to be tamed a little bit. Use this straightener. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then after I tried it, I was like, I need to do this. Yes, Martin, Jess is much better than me at freestyling. That's 100% true. We've actually freestyled before. Took turns, and she's really good at it. It's actually a lot of fun. Kara, nice. Just wanted to test the powers. Right? Exactly, Ben. She needs to include more of them. It is helpful to keep in mind that wisdom literature often tries to convey how to think rather than what to think. I like that statement. In life under the sun, God is far removed and not a factor. Once Kohelet has considered the potential sources of fulfillment and has rejected them, he offers an alternate perspective. So is this kind of a verse by... Yeah, this is a chapter by chapter treatment now. So I don't need the chapter by chapter treatment. I'm trying to pick up the big ideas. Major themes. Retribution principle. Is the retribution principle the thing that Job's people all remarked against him about? Martin, I just keep my beard Bavink length, so it doesn't need to be straightened or otherwise manipulated. Perfect, Martin. That's actually what I would do before. It would get long and unruly, and I would just shave it. And I tried to grow it longer, and then it was too curly, and then we are where we are. Semi-lurking, says Stead. Organizing books on shelves in my room while I listen to you. Well, thanks so much, Stead. Yeah. I hope this is a good little background for you. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you guys being here. It makes it a lot more fun. So I think the retribution principle is the principle that Job struggled with. What up, Connor? Good to see you. Yes, there it is. Acceptance of the retribution principle in theory, denial of its ability to predict how one might fare. Conveying something about God rather than offering guarantees. Time and chance are too great a factor. The fact that God will reward the righteous and punish the wicked in eternity is consistent with Kohelet's belief that this retribution principle is true but cannot be applied solely to this life. Very nice. So that's the first one. The first big principle they want us to see. All I'm going to do, guys, is I'm compiling. I've got a lot of Old Testament introductions and Old Testament surveys, just going through and seeing what each of them have to say about Ecclesiastes, compiling all the important principles and ideas, and then I'm going to break that down and start working through the text to see where they apply, kind of map out our preaching of the book. Oh, thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. Just read Genesis 4-7, Psalm 2, and Colossians 2. Fantastic, Connor. What reading plan is that? It sounds similar to Murray McShane's reading plan, but Robert Murray McShane usually has read 4 books and instead of 3. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I'm in Genesis. I'm going to do a chronological reading plan this year. I want to do a chronological. Experience versus revelation. Someone who's unwilling to acknowledge God has spoken. Kohelet built his case without any presupposition about revelation. He makes no reference to law or prophets. Nothing was said about Israel's place. That's interesting. His approach was philosophical and based on experience and wisdom. That's pretty cool. So this one is retribution principle. This one is experience versus revelation. And the final one, Epicureanism versus piety. Interesting. Self-compiled 2-year reading plan. Let's go, Martin. Some have worried about Kohelet's enjoy life philosophy. This seemed perhaps too close to the Epicurean dictum, eat, drink, and be merry, tomorrow we die. Moreover, he has said little about life of piety, faith, or even good works. What of discipline, virtue, morality? Where is repentance and the sense of sinfulness? You must recognize that the book of Ecclesiastes is not intended to be a systematic theology. Kohelet's primary purpose was to establish that life under the sun cannot offer fulfillment and to offer fulfillment and to offer an alternate worldview. The philosophy expressed is not simply enjoy life, but enjoy life and fear God. This is not abandonment of a life of pleasure. It is responsible, optimistic integration of life and faith. The result is that few books in the Bible offer as clear a challenge to our contemporary Western worldview. Enjoyment of life comes not in the quest of personal fulfillment, but in the recognition that everything comes from the hand of God. Nice. Cool. And he calls this Epicureanism versus piety. Awesome. Well, this was a great little book. I like that. Survey of Old Testament. Guys, if you're looking for a good Old Testament survey, this one is nice. Survey of the Old Testament. Andrew Hill and John Walton. I like it. Very nice one. Good morning, Clemson. Good to see you. More or less follows the order of a chronological reading plan. Old Testament once and New Testament 4 times over 104 weeks. 5 readings per week. Oh, cool, Martin. Nice. I don't know if I said hi to Clemson. Good to see you, Clemson. Good to see you, Jess. Welcome, guys. Kara's summary of Ecclesiastes in a nutshell. Don't party so hard. God's watching. That's your summary of Ecclesiastes, Kara? Love it. Fantastic. Oh, that makes me happy. Very nice. All right, what's this other one? Old Testament Wisdom, an introduction by James Crenshaw. Westminster, John Knox Press, 1998. Let's check out his section on Ecclesiastes. The Chasing After Meaning, Ecclesiastes. Interesting. Stead got some sleep. Let's go. Oh, thank you so much, Clemson. Yeah, get some rest. Get some rest, okay? Stead, party in moderation. Got it. No, that's not what he's saying. Oh, man. So good. So good. You guys. This is not the book of Ecclesiastes, guys. Oh, man. You guys are funny. Death cancels everything. So he deals seriously with death. That's an important principle that we need to recognize. Thanks for the alert, Connor. Yeah, Martin, I'm going to preach the entire book. So tomorrow will be an introduction to the book of Ecclesiastes. I think I'll just highlight some themes. You know, how you typically talk about the authorship, who wrote it, when they wrote it, you know. So I think I'll do that. And then the following Sunday, we'll probably start in verses 1 through 11. Witnesser, you may or may not have heard correctly about that. I can neither confirm nor deny. What up, man? Martin, read the entire book and use the remaining 30 seconds to preach. I don't think that's going to go well. People are going to be like, why do we pay this guy? Oh, touche, Kara. Touche. That's funny. So, he deals with death. There's a topic of death that is dealt with. Man, he goes in depth on that. Okay, so let's just highlight the big topics here. So big topics, death cancels everything. Let's see what else. I'm not going to read these whole sections because I'm just trying to get a big picture right now. Wisdom cannot achieve its goal. God is unknowable. And of course, there's a certain amount of pessimism that's built into Kohelet's worldview that we need to understand isn't, how do I put it, isn't definitional. We need to recognize that Kohelet deals with the world as it presents itself. He does have a biblical worldview, but it is one that is fraught with difficulties. Okay, so he's got five key ideas. Death cancels everything. Wisdom cannot achieve its goal. God is unknowable. The world is crooked. Pleasures commend themselves. Interesting. Oyston, how are you? This is called Old Testament Wisdom, an Introduction by James Crenshaw. So it's an introduction to wisdom books in the Old Testament, and I'm preaching through Ecclesiastes, so I thought he would reference it here, and he sure does. Good question. Good to see you, Oyston. That's true, Clemson. That's true. Oh, man. Yeah, my pleasure, Oyston. Hope you're having a good day. Tanner, sock, shoe. I feel like you're going to trick me. I'm not going to read that comment. I'm not reading that comment. I quit. I resigned from reading that comment. Literary characteristics: form, personal observation and reflection. Man, there's all these arguments about, is it Solomon, is it not? Did he write it, did he not? Narrative. Yeah, there are a lot of questions about the structure of the book. I don't know that I care about that too much. It might help me to establish my pericopes for preaching, but that's about it. Oh, Connor, obviously you put on both socks and then you put on both shoes. I can't believe that's even a question. Oyston, I've always bought the standard editions of gold and silver, but now I'm considering others like the Baptist versions. Hope you come out with a gold pack recommendation soon. All right, Oyston, I'm going to do it. I will record it very, very soon, and I will make those recommendations, okay? Do you like those videos, Oyston? Are they helpful to you? I hope they're helpful to you. They're a lot of work to make because I have to review all the base packages. I have to look at all the resources, etc. But if you find them helpful, I will make more, Oyston. That's awesome. Okay. You love them. Let's go. All right, I'll do the gold ones soon. Maybe next week. Maybe, Oyston, you'll have the gold ones by next week. No promises, but perhaps. Poems. This guy goes a little in depth. Yeah, structure. Thematic refrain. Poem. Okay, so his structure is essentially a... Oh, what do they call that? Oh, I forget what it's called. A chiasm. He's essentially structuring it like a chiasm. Which is worth noting. Let's just put it down here. Martin, that seems a pretty reasonable way to go about it as well. Martin, what are you talking about, bud? I love Kara's summaries of Ecclesiastes. Hold on, I'm going to make my own section. Kara's summaries of Ecclesiastes. Number 1. Now that you're making multiple, we've got to put them down. Number 1 is, don't party so hard, God is watching. Okay. Important to note. Number 2 is, keep calm, die eventually. These are not what I would say the book of Ecclesiastes is about, but I love them so much that we're just putting them down. These are notes for the future. Oyston, also a question to ask before I stop asking here. If you deny the Trinity and the deity of Christ and the deity of the Holy Spirit, but say Christ is a second God, but not Almighty God, are you Christian? Oyston, I personally see that as sacrificing true Christianity. I try to draw the circle of Christianity very, very wide. I try to allow a lot of different groups in, but I think getting God right is important. I think getting the gospel right is important. And I think that definition compromises our view of God, and so I would put somebody who believed that outside of the pale of Christianity. Yeah, I think you're right about that, Oyston. I think you're right. Christ is God in the flesh. Exactly right, Kara. Exactly right. It's very, very important. Okay, structure. Do I care about it? I don't know that I care about all the structure stuff. Perhaps the most attractive hypothesis, 2 fundamental units. Oh, here's his. My own analysis yields the following. Okay. Well, look, I'm always looking for... If you get good outlines from several sources and they overlap, you can be pretty sure you've got a decent outline to preach off of. And so that's my goal here. This would yield how many sermons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. About half the year? Yeah, that would be about half the year. Can I get through that many chapters that quickly? Interesting. Continuing on. We press forward. I haven't set a limit, Dr. Witnesser. I think I would be willing to grow a Calvin type beard, to be honest. I could see this thing getting down to here. As long as I can keep it manageable. I want to strike a balance with it. I don't want it to become completely unruly to where it looks gross and messy. I also don't want it to look too clean and tight and trimmed up. I want it to be some happy medium there, and I think this current length is good for that. And I'm going to keep going until I feel like it gets too unruly. But for now, I'm happy with it. So I haven't set a limit. I don't know where it's going to go, to be honest. Really don't know. Oyston, I'm studying it a lot these days to defend it against one Jehovah's Witness I talked to who also wants to deny the deity of Christ. Working and Studying Put Jesus in His Place by Robert Bowman. I see. Let me see if I have that one. Would you recommend it? Yeah, I don't have that one. Right. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a beard balance. Stead, I just wear chacos and don't bother with socks. I got you, Stead. I'm guessing it's warm where you're at. I can't not wear socks. Martin, I like that idea, but let's be honest. I think with the big beard, it wouldn't work. Maybe it would, though. Maybe it would. I feel like doing a mustache like that, you almost have to not have a beard, right? The mustache has to be all you're representing. Not sure. Oh, I got you, Oyston. Well, let me know how you like it as you get further. Yeah, I don't know that I care about that. He just says it's probably not Solomon, which is fine. Almost everybody has been saying that. Okay, cool. We got what we needed there. Let's check this one out. God's Story Revealed, a guide to understanding the Old Testament. All right, I got you, Stead. I haven't seen that episode, that show, or anything like that, Witnesser, but it sounds like, yes, that would be at the inappropriate level for me. It sounds like that's not where I would land. God at Home, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs. Suggestions for reading. Proverbs are principles, not promises. They tell us what usually happens, not what God guarantees. Interpret each part of the Proverbs or Ecclesiastes in light of its overall message. Reading one proverb in isolation, knowing every part of Ecclesiastes can lead to misunderstanding. That's a good principle. We'll drop that in here. Boop. Nice little principle there. Introduction, overview of Proverbs. I don't care about Proverbs so much as Ecclesiastes. There we go. Why does Ecclesiastes seem so cynical? I see. Oyston, I have read The Forgotten Trinity. Big fan. I like James White in general. Several passages sound too cynical to be in the Bible. Blah, 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 blah. With wisdom literature, it is especially important to read everything in the book before deciding what each part means. If we read Job out of context, we might think Job's friends are right. The teacher's cynicism is not our model. His journey through cynicism leads him to find meaning in reverence for God. This is what we are to embrace. I like that. See, the cool thing about Ecclesiastes is it demonstrates that asking hard questions and wrestling with the promises of God is appropriate. It doesn't attack or minimize people for doing that, you know? So I think that's great. Very nice. Very nice big picture ideas. Overview of Ecclesiastes. Traces a man's search for meaning through wisdom, wealth, pleasure, and accomplishment until finally he learns that meaning is close at hand. Although the book never identifies its author, several clues point to Solomon. So he seems to think it is Solomon. It's all good. Doesn't really matter. No, Witnesser. James White is Reformed Baptist. The James White we're referring to. There's more than one James White, right? Obviously a fairly common name. So like here you have life sketches from James White and Ellen G. White, 1880. But that's not who we're referring to. We're referring to this James White, Forgotten Trinity. He's a contemporary. James White is still alive. He's a Baptist pastor in Arizona. Forgotten Trinity. Great book. Oyston, Seventh-day Adventist. Was the author of James the Apostle James or Jesus' brother James? Both. All of those. Connor. So, I don't really care about the authorship. I will mention it, but I'm not going to go in depth. There's nothing more boring than a pastor sitting up and going through all these complex arguments about who the author of a certain book was. Question of meaning. We feel the teacher's frustration. I like that. I like that. By the time we reach the conclusion of the matter, we've discovered that life is hard and meaning is hard to find. These two words put the whole book into perspective. Fear God. So a lot of the introductions are utilizing kind of that last phrase as definitive. That we must interpret Ecclesiastes in light of... No, what am I doing? That's not where I'm at. Isaiah. There we go. Ecclesiastes 12. The conclusion of the matter. Now, all has been heard. Here's the conclusion. Fear God and keep his commandments. This is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. So a lot of people are taking these last two verses of the entire book and using them to reinterpret the whole book. I mean, I think that can be appropriate. At first, I didn't like that idea, but if the author themselves says it, right? All has been heard. Here is the conclusion. I mean, he explicitly says, basically, like, Grandpa rant, but a good one. Guys, we have another Kara summary. Grandpa rant, but a good one. Kara, I'm going to have, like, the 30 sayings of Kara by the time we're done here. You could write your own book of Ecclesiastes. Oh, man. Yeah, Witnesser, so we changed things up a little bit. So, I've now moved sermon prep to just Saturdays. This is the only time I do sermon prep. We still do biblical studies. So, what the stream is now is I usually spend the first half of the stream playing Valorant and evangelizing, and then I spend the second half of the stream teaching a topical lesson on a biblical topic. So last night we taught about infertility and what the Bible has to say about it. So that's what the streams are now. First half, Valorant evangelism, and then second half, a biblical topic or topical study. And of course, I pray for people throughout, and then I try to answer questions. And that's essentially what all the streams are now. Sermon prep was kind of getting in the way of what the stream was becoming, so we've moved sermon prep to Saturdays only. Martin, that is true. We need to figure out where a Just Takeover fits into the mix now. That's for sure. So that's how we've changed things, and it's been going pretty good so far since we did that. And look at the cover of this one. The World and the Word, an Introduction to the Old Testament. Eugene Merrill, Mark Rooker, and Michael Grisanti. Look at that cover. It's pretty cool art. Okay, let's go look for Ecclesiastes in here. Boop. The title of the book, Kohelet. Convoke or assemble. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that the title means all that. I'm going to put this up at the start. I don't want to forget this one. Very nice. Making good progress here. Stead, sermon preps are basically until I decide to quit. How long do you want them to be, Stead? The OG channel. Let's go, Jess. The last two verses is where Solomon wraps it up. Then he naps. Is this because he's a grandpa? Oh, man. So good. Thought about doing the same thing. I started taking calls through Discord towards the end of the stream, and I've been toying with the idea of doing theological discussion and Bible study. Yeah. No, we're not doing that, Connor. Do you even lift, bruh? You saying God is super buff in the picture? He is pretty buff. You can tell under that shirt, under that robe, that he's really been hitting the weights. He benches at least 300. Golly. Oh man, Kara. That's funny. Composition. Pessimistic. Influenced by Greek philosophy. Yeah, it's so funny. I'll never understand why secular people who don't believe the Bible would dedicate their life to studying the Bible. We get into all these arguments with these secularists. You know, in all of these, what? Yoshi with the raid. What are you doing, Yoshi? Let's go, Yoshi. Hey, thanks, guys. Welcome to the channel. We're hanging out. We're doing sermon prep, you know. That's funny. Thanks for the raid, Yoshi. How are you doing? Welcome, guys. More like 3 million. Yeah, there you go. 300 shekels? Specify your units. Fair enough. Fair enough. I meant 300 million. All right, Stead. Last time I did this and we didn't have any technical difficulties, I went 4 or 5 hours. So they're probably going to be pretty long. My goal is to get 2 weeks ahead of the sermon and really just kind of wrestle through a lot of different ideas and concepts. So I don't know how long we'll go today. I've got family in town, so I don't want to spend the entire day prepping sermons. So I'll probably end whenever I finish the sermon for tomorrow. But yeah. That's ballpark. Blessed by Jess. I actually haven't figured out exactly what it's going to be about. We are preaching on Ecclesiastes. So I'm going to start a new book series for my church on the book of Ecclesiastes. I finished preaching through Mark last year, and so this year I want to start with Ecclesiastes. So probably tomorrow's sermon is going to be an overview, a broad overview of Ecclesiastes and some of the principles to keep in mind. Secularists who study the Bible are groupies. Yeah, see, it just never doesn't make any sense to me. Like, we get into all these arguments. This is what happens, right? Like, you read half of these Old Testament introductions. Listen, many critics of past generations thought the context of the book of Ecclesiastes reveal a late pessimistic attitude, and they're influenced by Greek philosophy. They maintained the text had an extended period of composition. In 1898, Carl Siegfried argued that the final form of the book resulted in a combination of 9 different sources, beginning with Greek philosophers and later expanded by Sadducean Epicureans. What? You know what I mean? Like, why do secularists even care? This is what I don't get. Like, why on earth do they come up with these fancy theories? Could you imagine not believing a word of the Bible, that it's true, and yet dedicating your life to somehow coming up with the fact that Ecclesiastes was compiled out of 11 sources over the course of several hundred years? Like, why do you even do it? I study the Bible because I think it's God's word, right? Like, I dig deep into the Bible because I want to understand what God has to tell me. I will never understand people who dedicate their life to basically saying that the Bible isn't true, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, I don't know. And then what happens is these New Testament introductions have a bunch of people arguing with secularists, like, about it. And it's like, they're unbelievers, bro. Like, they're never going to find your view of Ecclesiastes compelling. I don't know. It's just, sometimes we get so in depth arguing over all of these issues that I wonder why. I wonder why I even try, you know? So, Witnesser, I actually didn't. I reset everything, and now what I do each day before I stream is I run a test stream. I run a test stream to see if any frames drop for a decent period of time, and if there are no frames dropping, then I go ahead and stream. And this has been a great stream. Jess's stream yesterday was great. I didn't get a new router. I almost did. And then I just started running tests and test streams, and it managed to fix itself. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run test streams regularly, and if there are problems, maybe I will, reset the router. Don't know. Kind of weird, though. Yoshi, just reading the scriptures, found it fitting. Doing well. Awesome, man. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Aren't there biblical scholars who study other religious texts? That's true, Stead, but I think they typically do it to gain insight into the biblical text, like they have an alternate motivation that way. That's a good point, though. That's a really good point, Stead. Yeah, exactly, Jess. That's my plan, is to do some sort of introduction. Mr. Chicken, hello. Welcome. Debo, how are you doing today? Good to see you. I don't know, Connor. I don't know if I can get Jess to do it, but I think I want to have each of the 4 walls painted a different color so that we can do different scenes. So I want it to be almost like a studio where we can have different scenes and different colors that we're looking for. And that way we can film with different moods, if that makes sense. We're going to have a lot of good lighting. I've been on the lookout for good studio lighting. And then we're going to have, obviously, a 2 or 3 computer setup. So Jess can stream from there, I can stream from there, etc. As we get it built, maybe I can give you guys a tour. Oh, I'm doing great, Debo. Yeah, we're just working on the sermon. I just finished some breakfast a little bit ago, too. Jess, our Wi-Fi was junk. They put a new router in our house that separates the 5G and the 2G, so now we can always lock in the 5G. Oh. Oh, interesting. That's odd, Jess. Interesting. Yeah, Nightbot was going off on everyone. We need to definitely fix Nightbot for Jess's channel. All right, composition, don't care. I don't care to stand up in my pulpit and give arguments against secularists. I mean, none of my congregation is ever going to be interacting with that sort of stuff, right? Oops, didn't mean to do that. Recent scholarship assumes Greek influence, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Don't care. The authorship of the book, don't care. Could be Solomon, not necessarily. We're not sure. Book of Ecclesiastes, message and purpose. Here's where I'm talking. Book of Ecclesiastes brings into focus the mystifying existence of mankind. Man cannot know what God is doing and why. The message of the book is not unlike the book of Job, where Job is challenged to trust and surrender to God, not knowing where God may lead him. Mystery of life is a large part conveyed by the frequent occurrence of a key term in Ecclesiastes, the word hebel, most familiarly translated as vanity. The term occurs 38 times in the book, more than half of its total occurrences in the Old Testament. The concrete meaning is vapor or breath. Hebel contains the notions of transience and unsubstantiality. Yeah, very nice. I wonder why one came over well and the other one didn't. That was weird. Zaladin, what is up? How are you doing? That's a good point as well, Yoshi. I have a green screen, and Jess has a black screen that she bought. So we already have two of those. That's a good idea, Yoshi. You know, and I'd like to create maybe a couple of corners, right? Like, I don't know if you've seen some YouTube channels, but they've got like a couple shelves with some nice pictures on there, you know, and it's just a nicely staged setup with maybe like a little coffee table or something. We could do that maybe in one corner of the room, and then in the other corner of the room, we might have it a little bit darker or moodier, you know, without maybe any major features, but maybe just a curtain or something like that. So there's a lot of ways we can stage it. But the idea is I want the stream room to be very versatile with a lot of different scenes that could be applied. God is good. Amen, Zaladin. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Hope you're doing well, my man. Don't forget the RGB. Got to do RGB all over the place. RGB lighting everywhere. That's awesome. Okay. Very interesting. Dwayne Garrett sums up three main motifs. One must recognize he is mortal. One should enjoy life as a gift from God. One must revere God. The author encourages his readers to exercise faith in God as the only possible basis for meaning and significance. Life without God has no meaning. Man, such a good book. Love Ecclesiastes. Guys, I almost didn't preach on this. And then as I went through, I just decided, like, this is the one, man. This is the one. Right? Exactly. Linus Tech Tips with a bedroom set and a dining room set, living room set. Nice. Ah. I didn't know 5G had, like, a limited range like that. That's pretty interesting. Style. Aphorisms, metaphors, comparisons, rhetorical questions, woe sayings. Under the sun. Couple of important phrases. Under the sun or vanity of vanities. I miss just doing chill sermon prep with you guys. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate it. It's good to have you guys here. This is what the channel was built on, guys. It's morphed quite a bit. Let's see. Oyston, denying the deity of Christ. That's another Jesus like Paul is talking about in Galatians. Another Jesus cannot save you. Right. Right. And remember, what did John make definitional of antichrists? John talks about antichrists in 1 John. And he makes certain things definitional to what it means to be an antichrist. Let's see. Right. Who is the liar? It is whoever denies that Jesus is the Christ. Such a person is the Antichrist, denying the Father and the Son. You see that, Oyston? 1 John 2:22. Who is the liar? It is whoever denies that Jesus is the Christ. Such a person is the Antichrist, denying the Father and the Son. No one who denies the Son has the Father. Whoever acknowledges the Son has the Father also. Very important text. Zaladin, come on. Yeah, there's a trade-off. High frequency means short range, higher speed, and the inverse. Ah, that makes sense. Hey, I got you, Jess. That's honestly, that's why I've been excited for 2021, man. I'm ready to pull the trigger, put the pedal to the metal on 2021 and what we're going to be doing in 2021 in the church, in Pastor Channer Ministries, etc. We'll see where it gets, Connor. We'll see where it gets. Yeah, awesome, Oyston. Awesome. Yay, 2021, indeed. I've been stoked for this year, man. I honestly don't even care what happens in the news. Honestly, I don't care about none of that. I just care about I'm grabbing this year by the horns, and we're going to get some stuff done. Guys, I want to have 5-figure subs by the end of the year on YouTube. I think we can do it. We're at 1,700 now. Could you imagine if Pastor Tanner on YouTube had 10,000 subscribers? Wouldn't that be awesome? That's an awesome goal. We could make partner this year on Twitch. That'd be fantastic. We got TikTok goals. I'm just excited. I'm excited for what God's doing in the ministry. And we're just going to keep on keeping on. You know, I'm excited for this year. Structure is a mystery. No common consensus. Beginning, conclusion, etc. Ah, here it is. Here's the chiasm I was talking about before, guys. You see that? Look at that. Look at that little chiasm. Nice little, cute little chiasm. Come on. Let's go drop this up here. Guys, we got a lot of notes. We should maybe stop taking notes and start summarizing. Small chiasm. And then he's got a bigger outline right here. Perfect. Perfect. Get it, Tanner. We can make it. Let's go. Pastor Tanner Fortnite. No. Keep Jess in your prayers. Start their job at the Christian school on Monday. Fantastic. Fantastic. Awesome, Yoshi. Yeah, I'm glad you're excited, man. No, we've got tons of plans. Tons of plans. Connor, that would be insane. Right, Yoshi? What if I just died all the time? Hey, guys, I want to tell you about Jesus. Oh, I died. Never mind. Never mind. Have a good day. Addison Wright, structure of the book, blah, 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 contents. Quest for meaning. Wise admonitions. So we can always come back to this section for the breakdown. The theology. New Testament in the book. Ooh. And some study questions. Cool. Let's read the theology and then see how it fits into the New Testament. You don't hear Ecclesiastes quoted very often, do you? For all the skepticism expressed in the book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet never denied the reality of God, the monotheistic faith, or a meaningful role for humankind in the world. This notion may be reinforced by the fact that while the Keter Habel occurs 37 or 38 times, Elohim, the name of God, occurs 40. Oh, pretty cool. Okay. So we got that. That's a good idea. Put that down here. Kara, you're such a goof. Jess, you will rock 2021 PT. You and Jess have only been growing. It's obvious you're pleasing God by the fruit and blessings you have been bearing. Thank you so much, Jess. I appreciate your encouragement. Honestly, I really do. And that's all we want to do, is be as faithful as we can and see what God has for us. See what God has for us. Zaladin. Zaladin saying it's just going to take me half a year before I finally cave. Hey, that's awesome, Kara. Yeah, it's the Hebrew word for God. Very cool. So God's sovereignty plays itself out in two forms, he says. Very important. All that is done under the sun is the work of God, and humans do not understand the work of God. Both of those ideas. That's pretty cool. Creator, controller, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Kohelet's affirmation of joy is an expression of his belief in creation. It is an affirmation of life as God has made it. At the same time, wisdom cannot penetrate the mystery of life or the purpose of life's diverse experiences. Kohelet held to the retribution principle found in Proverbs, namely that obedience will be rewarded and disobedience judged. But like Job, he was conspicuous of exceptions to this rule. Conspicuous, conscious. Man can live and even flourish apart from having all the answers he craves. Final verdict is that men should enjoy life and fear God. Jess says, before, I never thought about my impact on this earth. I was just living. Now, with God, all I think about is what I can accomplish for his kingdom. What kind of impact can I have, and what kind of legacy am I going to leave behind? So good, Jess. That's exactly right. That's eternal perspective right there, guys. So important. So important to have an eternal perspective. Love it. Love it. Fantastic. Too many people, I love how you put it, are just living, right? They just live. They almost just exist, you know, if that makes sense. It's just that they're existing. And it's like, no, I want to press for more. I want to leave a legacy. Not a legacy of Tanner, but a legacy that praises and glorifies and honors God. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Love it. So glad to hear that, Jess. Thanks for sharing that. So, we've talked about the retribution principle. The teaching of Ecclesiastes presumes the reader is well aware of the creation and fall, Genesis 1-3. Reminds me of Carlton's paper. Genesis and Ecclesiastes both assume an order in the world, and God fixed this order. Human beings have a sense of eternity, they're created in the image of God, yet man has limited knowledge since he is made from dust. It's like the text can't come over now in the proper color. It's like it's rebelling against me. Desire of Kohelet to have comprehensive knowledge parallels Eve's desire, which led her into sin. Everything about this world is marred by the tyranny of the curse that the Lord placed on all creation. Ooh, interesting. I didn't think about that parallel. Kohelet wants a more comprehensive knowledge, which is part of what led Eve to eat of the fruit. That's pretty interesting. For Kohelet, life is in many ways a curse, and this curse is especially acute not only in labor and toil, but also in mental anguish. The difficulty is attributed to sin and its consequences. No problem, Connor. Have a good one. Take care. Have a good day. We'll see ya. Stead, are you still there? Stead, after I finish this Buy How, I'm going to switch to probably Sassafras Strawberry. And I want to know how many bags I should use for a single cup. I'm curious. How many you think I should use? Just one tea bag for one cup? What do you think? Nine pyramid tea bags. Oh, they're pyramid tea bags. Awesome. One should be fine. Perfect. I'm going for it, Stead. Cool. I'm going to try Sassafras Strawberry after the Buy How is done. Thank you, Stead. I appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to take you away from your task. Paul took up the issue of the curse of creation, Romans 8:19-21, where he emphasizes the consequences of man's actions affecting the created order. Futility in 8:20 is a Greek translation of Habel. Ah. Ecclesiastes exposes the futility of seeking to find meaning in life apart from God. Kohelet had attempted to find satisfaction in knowledge, riches, pleasure, work, fame, and sex, but was disappointed. He came to realize that only the person who is God-centered and sees the simple things in life as a gift from God can truly understand the meaning of life. Man is not created just to enjoy life. He is to enjoy life and fear God. Nice. So there's a real parallel to the first question of the Westminster Catechism. Hey, no problem, Stead. Fear God and enjoy him forever. Kara, whenever I saw God orchestrate bad things, I saw it as evidence of his power and test of faith. But I do feel there's some logic missing there somehow. Maybe the human capacity for sorrow is sin. Very interesting thought, Kara. Whenever I saw God orchestrate bad things, I saw it as evidence of his power and a test of faith. But I do feel there's some logic missing there. I think that is the case, Kara, for somebody who sees with wise eyes. You know what? No, you know what this is, Kara? This is Romans 8:28 to me. And there's an important distinction here. Listen, we know that in all things God works for the good. Listen, though, that's what you're referring to, Kara. In all things, God works for the good of who, though? Of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So this isn't everybody. Not everybody loves God. Not everybody is called according to his purpose. So in your individual life, as a follower of Christ, when God brings something about in your life, you recognize it as evidence of his power and a test of faith, because that is what he's doing. Why? Because you love him and have been called according to his purpose. However, this is not the case for everyone. For those who don't love God and for those who are not called according to his purpose, the trials of life merely happen, if that makes sense. There is no telos to the trials of life for the ungodly, okay? Telos means purpose or intention, design. If you have a trial as a believer, it has a telos, so that you might be more conformed to the image of Christ, your faith might be tested, and you might grow. But for an unbeliever, there is no telos to the things that happen in life. And as the author of Ecclesiastes will later say, meaningless, meaningless, everything is meaningless. That is for the person who doesn't fear God and keep his commandments. Very interesting. Yes, see, that's exactly right, blessed by Jess, because they fear God and keep his commandments. So, Witnesser, I don't think I'm going to ditch the green screen. I think I just want to have it as an option. I don't want to be confined to the green screen, especially as we make YouTube content. It seems like the best YouTube content doesn't utilize a green screen, but instead it has a set. So, I think we'll have it, but it'll be an option rather than a... Like, right now, it's basically a requirement. It's the only setup I have. Yeah, thanks, Kara. No, you made me think of that. You made me think of that. Very good point. In fact, I'm going to write that down. For those who don't fear God and keep his commandments, bad things just happen. However, there is a telos behind trials in the lives of believers. They have a design. They are just living. There you go, Jess. Yep. Let's see. What is this one? Roy Gingrich, Introduction to the Old Testament. There's Mr. Roy Gingrich. Very nice. Thank you for your hard work, sir. Now let's see. Does he have a section on Ecclesiastes? Man, does he not even have a... Where is Ecclesiastes? Here we go. The controversial nature of the book, the name, the author, the time of writing, the addressees, classification, teaching, purpose, misuse, keyword, annual reading. Let's go ahead and just glance through this. This is a quick treatment. It's a quick treatment. Perhaps Ecclesiastes is the most controversial book in the Bible. There's a controversy concerning the name of the book, the authorship, the time, the viewpoint, the teaching, the purpose, the inspiration. The name, in our version, Ecclesiastes, translated the Septuagint's title, Hebrew title, Kohelet. The preacher or the teacher. The author, Solomon, has been questioned. Majority reject the Solomonic authorship. 950 BC to 10 BC. Classifications, the writings, 5 Old Testament poetical books, teaching of the book. Satisfaction of the deeper desires of man is not found in the worship and service of the creation, but in the worship and service of the Creator. It's a good summary by Mr. Gingrich. Purpose. Teach men how to, with a view to this life and with a view to the life to come. Misuse. Cults bend many of the doctrines under their puzzling statements and then ignore parts of the Bible where their erroneous doctrines are refuted. Key word is vanity. Empty of that which satisfies. And read yearly on the Feast of Tabernacles. I didn't know that. I wonder if that's true. Kara says, explain that to someone who follows God but is walking through the shadow of the valley of death, and they will call out, Father, why have you forsaken me? I wonder if Solomon addresses this. He kind of does. Yeah. It's a good point. And he kind of does a little bit as he kind of wrestles with the concepts, because he essentially at certain points in Ecclesiastes says, like, you know, God has forgotten us, right? It's very interesting. He kind of wrestles with that. What I love about Ecclesiastes is he doesn't shrink back from expressing all of his feelings and emotions. Like you're saying, somebody who's walking through that valley. I applied my mind to the study and explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. Look at that. Pleasures are meaningless. Wisdom and folly are meaningless. Toil is meaningless. He just goes on and on. I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has also set eternity on the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Yeah, it's interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to enjoy preaching through this. I think Ecclesiastes addresses a lot of people's practical concerns as well. The things people just generally struggle with. I like that about it. You will rise above joy and sorrow. Oh, interesting. Was not aware of that. Richard Hess. Ooh, this looks very recent. This might be pretty in-depth. Name, text, outline. Ooh, look at his outline. Very nice. In-depth, overview. Reading, pre-modern readings. Higher criticism. Literary. Cabell. Canonical. Yeah, this is super in-depth. Cool. This will be a nice one. Get some good info here. I'm gonna grab his outline right now. Stick it in these notes. Yeah, this is a pretty thorough treatment. What book is this? The Old Testament, a historical, theological, and critical introduction by Richard Hess. Man, a very, very nice treatment. Awesome. All right, gonna pour my last cup of By How, and then we'll switch over to Strawberry Sassafras afterwards. It's gonna be good. Dave Hinson, SPCK. And then I want to check this one too, because this one is put out by my seminary. Oh, I wish Futato treated Ecclesiastes here. Richard Belcher is good, though. Guys, of the studying of books, there is no end. Ecclesiastes. Wow, this book has a very in-depth table of contents. Table of contents is tearing it up, man. The writings, wisdom, Ecclesiastes. Of the studying of books, there is no end, guys. Look how many books we have on this. And then I think what I'm going to do is walk through the information once we've compiled it all and just kind of ask ourselves, like, what do we want to emphasize tomorrow, you know? Just pick out some of the big themes for people so they can orient their minds to the book. Because a lot of people aren't going to be able to wrap their heads around this book in just like one sitting. That's kind of funny. Boom. All right. All right, guys. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more books to review. And these are just introductions. Well, 10 if you count that. I'm not even going to dive into any of the specific commentaries yet. Kara, it almost seems as though a life preoccupied with material things is only lacking faith and servitude to God, and the preoccupation with those things is true emptiness and sorrow. Agree. Or that the preoccupation itself is trying to replace God. Also agreed. The material gains will not feed you because your soul is hungry for God. I agree with all those things, Kara. I think that's super insightful. Yes. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now let's heat this water up to very high temperature, and we'll make a cup of strawberry sassafras. Let's check this out, guys. Guys, Stead sent me this tea. Local tea. Very excited. I'm gonna open it up. Oh, look at these tea bags, guys. These are premium. Check this out. I gotta go to the big screen. These are premium tea bags, guys. So these are pyramid tea bags. What they do is they allow for more of the leaf to float around. So they're shaped as a pyramid rather than just a pouch, right? Though that's gonna be very nice. So we're going to drop that in there. And I'm going to cover that up with some very hot water. What a treat. Thank you, Stead. Thank you so much, Stead. What a treat. Kara says, or not just material things, but also false idols. That's true as well, right? Some people aren't seeking material things, but they're seeking things like pleasure. Or even experience, right? A lot of people are seeking, oh, I just want to have an awesome experience. I want to travel the world. I want to, you know, and they may not have anything materially to show for it in the end, but they still, that's essentially what they're after. It's idols. Idols of the heart. Do I have enough water? I think I do. Yeah, frankly, I have the perfect amount of water. Woo! Look at that, guys. Very excited. Gonna let that steep for a while. Oh, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be very good. Thank you, Stead. Yes, thank you so much. I'm very excited, honestly. Martin. Martin, I'm not going to get political on the channel. I'm sorry. I'm going to let that steep for a while. I'm going to cause it to bob up and down a few times. Kara, if you point to sin as a boring preoccupation and point to God as an exciting calling, that might draw people to God. I agree, Kara. The problem is people are satisfied with sin. That's actually one of the keys, I think. How do we make people dissatisfied with sin? How do we get people to go, you know what? Sin's not all that great. You know what I mean? That's what we need. We need people to have a change of heart surrounding sin. For them to go, you know what? I don't like sin, actually. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the effect we want to have on people. We want them essentially to go, you know what? This isn't my jam. I see those kappas, Martin. A translation of the Hebrew Bible Kohelet, assembly. The preacher, blah, blah, blah. We've already seen a lot of this. Text is clear. Translation interpretation is disputed. See, this is a lot of additional work I don't really need to dig into. We've already got the outline. Overview. The writer of Ecclesiastes begins with the thesis of much of the book. There is no real meaning behind creation, and one's effort and work contribute little or nothing because everything continues as it was. There's nothing really new. Those who have gone before are forgotten. The primary speaker, Kohelet, introduces himself in 1:12, where he asserts that he is a king who sought to understand the meanings of the universe, but came to realize that it is all vain, and that understanding only increases one's own pain in this life. Okay, so this is relevant. Just drop that in there. And then here he's going chapter by chapter breakdown, which I don't care about yet because I'm just trying to give an overview. I'm not going to go through all of the readings of it. These are all usually fairly critical. Chabel might be good to go into. Kara says, no, call it boring, a waste of time, a drain, going nowhere, round in circles. Honestly, Kara, you're not wrong, right? And that's kind of what Kohelet is getting at here. He calls it a chasing after the wind. He calls it vanity of vanities. Everything is vanity. So you're not far off, Kara. Boring, waste of time, drain. Going nowhere, around in circles. Yeah. Yeah. Not wrong. Not wrong. Guys, I can't wait to try this tea. Look how it's coming along. Whew. Look at that. Look at that. Very nice. I'm excited. A little bit of sassy fresh strawberry. Straight path to death of the soul and eternal sorrow. It's true. It's true. No, I haven't, Stead. I better check that out. Debo, let's get a donut. All right. Chabel. Chabel. I don't know how to... You've got to... It's like you're going to hawk a loogie. You start it, and then you stop. And the viewership just dropped in half. Chabel. Chabel. Translated in various ways. Vanity, absurd, futility, meaningless, enigmatic. Martin. Nearly 30 of the 71 biblical occurrences are found in Ecclesiastes. Impermanence, lack of significance, lasting value. Oh, I need to turn off the background. There we go. Yeah, do it, Stead. Although I don't know if I'm on Twitch right now. Let me open it up. Let's try that. That should work. Well, I would know. I get really, really mad sometimes, and it's a one-way train to Helltown. So I stop the train, jump off, tuck and roll. Nice. Oh, man. That's fantastic. That last steeping of Bai Hao is very nice. I wonder if it could take more. I might throw some boiling water into it and see what it does. Oh, that's perfect, Stead. But I would also have to open Discord. Don't worry, Stead. We got this. You're doing great. You're doing great, Stead. I'm a disaster. All right, Discord opening. You can tell how in it I am today. How with it I am today. Not very, right? That's funny. Thank you, sir. I will watch this off of stream. Last time I watched something on stream, they copyright struck me on YouTube. So I have to wait until we go off stream. Martin. Thank you, Stead. Appreciate that. That's funny, man. You guys are a riot. The positive injunctions in Ecclesiastes include the suggestion to fear God. Humans should receive all good things of their life as a gift from God. Yeah, these are more like critical readings and stuff. Gender and ideological criticism, don't care. Oh, Gilgamesh has some of this. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting as well. Fictional Akkadian autobiography style. Dialogue of pessimism, etc. Sin in the world doesn't have to stop moving for one to jump off. Yeah, there you go. In fact, it seems like it just keeps going and going and going, right? Is water still too hot? Yeah, it's still too hot. Canonical context. Departure from the norms of expected wisdom in the Bible. I like that. This is not merely the idiosyncratic musings of one person who imagines himself to be a counselor. It is the authoritative reflection of truth that comes from one shepherd. Oyston says, I wonder what Paul would do if he had Logos Bible software. I don't know. I actually frequently almost lament. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required, right, Oyston? Imagine, I wonder, for example, Spurgeon. What if Spurgeon had Logos Bible software? I have access to more books than Spurgeon could ever have dreamed of, and yet he was basically encyclopedic in his knowledge and understanding of his library. Wow. To me, it's almost like condemning. You know, it's like, wow. To whom much is given, much is required. You know what I mean? So not many quotes of Ecclesiastes in the New Testament. Direct quotes in Romans, and then perhaps an allusion in 1 Corinthians, but that's it. Direction of the book is not nihilistic. Yeah, these are good. Yeah, Oyston. Tough, man. Tough. Sin in the world accelerating, Kara? It sure seems that way at times. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know, Kara. It's hard because I also think on your statement of just started noticing it, I think we have greater access to information about the sinfulness of mankind than we ever did before as well. You know what I mean? All right, let's give this a go, guys, and see if it's done. Let's try that out, guys. Sassy Frass Strawberry coming right up. Oh, that's nice. Nice and light. I'm glad it's not too sweet. I'm going to actually let it steep a little longer. It's got almost no catechins in it, so I'm going to let it keep going for a little bit. The conclusion here does not transform what has gone before in the book. It does not suddenly make sense out of all of the chabel. Instead, it reaffirms the observation of the world and the experience of any and all material things are unable to generate their own meaning and significance. Yeah, really good. Really good summary there. Kohelet does not wish to argue some basis for this fear of God, but only wishes to advise those weary travelers with whom he has journeyed. I kind of like that too. Imagine that as an apologetic. Look, I'm not going to try to convince you. Just telling you, if you're weary, if you see this, then here's your answer. A pre-evangelism tract designed to connect to all of those moderns, postmoderns, nihilists who seek meaning in this life but can't find it. Love it. Yeah, we don't sweeten many of our teas. We usually add it separately due to people's preferences. Dude, that's awesome, Stead. It's perfect. Honestly, it's perfect. I prefer that it's not sweetened, to be honest. When it said strawberry sassafras, I thought it might have a real sweet flavor to it, but it doesn't, which is great. Yeah, that's very nice. Man, smooth, smooth. No bitterness whatsoever. Good tea. Sencha, huh? That's incredible. No bitterness whatsoever, and yet I poured 200-degree water into it. Wow. Honestly, that's really robust sencha. Yeah, that's Stead. Honestly, I poured some near boiling water into it, and it just crushes. No bitterness whatsoever. That is really high quality green tea. Wow, very nice. Thank you, Stead. What a treat. What a treat, Stead. Beautiful. Kara, we're trying to plan on a baby, but like if it's coming up, should I plan for that? I hear what you're saying, Kara. Yeah. I think, honestly, we can't control the state of the world or society or anything like that. And so I say make your plans, do the best you can, and the rest is in God's hands. You know what I mean? Lovely tea. Man, that's insane. I hit it with such hot water and it doesn't even care. What's in the other one? The other one is hibiscus, blackberries, blueberries, currants, elderberry fruit essence, lemongrass, sage, verbena. So this one is purely the Briar Patch Brew is purely a herbal tea. Man, that looks awesome too. And I do love my hibiscus teas. Get that tart in there. These are really nice teas, guys. That's awesome, Stead. That's awesome. Yeah, fantastic. What a treat. I hit it with 200-degree water. There should be some bitterness in there, and there's none. It's crazy. Really good stuff, guys. Therefore, Ecclesiastes becomes for the searcher the means of access to the Bible. It is the first step to salvation, not the last gasp of one who has tried it all and found no value. I love it. Oh. The problem of Kohelet and many in the present age is a love of self that is unable to achieve its realization. The book of Ecclesiastes describes this journey and its frustration because of a lack of correct appreciation of the self and alignment with the ego that is ill-conceived. Guys, so much apologetic value to the book of Ecclesiastes. Man, that was a fantastic overview. Fantastic. So I should probably stop soon. Maybe not. And I mean just on reading. Because we've got so many themes to work from now. I think I want to get to the point where I start summarizing themes. Oh, Stead, they're fantastic. Honestly, they're great. I love hibiscus teas. In fact, I recently finished off a hibiscus tea, a hibiscus ginger that I had. So I'm excited that you sent me some hibiscus. I think I'm out other than what you sent me. And then I also love green tea, sencha. And this isn't too sweet. Like you said, the sweetener's not added. And the sencha is obviously high quality because there's just no bitterness to it whatsoever. So it's just a win-win. I got you, Kara. There you go. Hey, that's the plan. That's the plan. The Book of Ecclesiastes challenges the modern reader. The fact that commentaries set forth several different ways to interpret it is not surprising when its contents are examined. The book includes both positive and negative statements, and how those statements relate to one another is important but complicated. Some statements in the book also appear to be unorthodox. The author refers to God only periodically throughout the book, but is not certain that he brings God into the discussion in order to solve the problems. Such are the challenges. Yeah. Authorship, don't care. Kara, nice. So they just want to date it later. That's fine. Structure and outline. Does he have an outline here? He does. Very brief. Very brief, small outline. Seems good. Kohelet, assembly. Different approaches. 8:11 to 15. So this is the whole, again, we see, yet again, a reference to the retribution principle. So we're going to have to address that. In 8:11, Kohelet observes that punishments for evil are often delayed. 8:12, he recognized sinners do the exact opposite. Yep. So retribution principle brought up yet again. Message of Kohelet himself. The contradictions in the book draw our attention to Kohelet's viewpoint of faith expressed. Having shown the bankruptcy of the secularist approach, Kohelet allows the heavenly perspective to shine through. So there are various readings. See, this is how I want to do it. The views considered under this heading allow the tensions expressed by Kohelet to stand without resolution. These tensions evidence the honest struggles experienced by Kohelet. The major question is which side of the tension ultimately wins out. See, I like this interpretation. Craig examines Ecclesiastes from a narrative standpoint, juxtaposition of vanity, blah, blah, blah. Tremper Longman understands Kohelet to be a wisdom teacher struggling with the normative traditions of his people. Michael Fox argues that one must recognize the contradictions in the thought of Kohelet in order to bring the book's central concern into focus. What do they say? Bartholomew's approach. Both Longman and Fox recognize the key element to Kohelet's thinking is the unresolved tension in his thought. In the final analysis, the best approach is to understand that Kohelet does not subordinate the anomalies of life and the breakdown of the principle of retribution to a higher principle for the sake of resolution. The troubles of life so dominate his thinking that he calls into question traditional thinking. The author of the epilogue, however, subverts Kohelet when he... Yeah. So, I think... I like this. I like this. We should just accept the tension that he throws out there and not try to resolve it in some way, you know? Message and theology. The interpreter of Ecclesiastes needs to make several important exegetical decisions when approaching the book. However, a number of hermeneutical keys help unlock the message. Ooh, this is going to be helpful. This is going to be super helpful. You know what, guys? Before I'm going to dig into this, I'm going to take a quick break, okay? My pot is out. My tea is out. So I'm going to fill this up. We're going to make a Briar Patch Brew next. We're going to take a quick break. Give me 5. Take 5 yourself. And then we'll keep working on the sermon when we get back. Okay? See you guys shortly. All right, guys, I'm back. Let's see. I want to try a different album from Harris Heller. We've been listening to the same one for a while. Let's see what he's got. Ocularium. Let's try that. Cool. We'll listen to this whole album. All right, continuing to dig in, I think this is going to be a very important key to unlocking how we're going to interpret this book for the congregation. Message and Theology. Prologue. Chabel. Main question of the book. Prophet. What profits a man? Epistemology. Yeah, I think this is going to be very important. Let's read this section. This might be one of the last ones that I read in depth, just because we have so much content now. It's insane. Oh, we already looked at this. Message and Theology. Okay. We've already looked at Chabel quite a bit, but what does it say here? Parallels Ruach. Interesting. Metaphorically. Sense of significance. Incomprehensible. So we've got good detail here, essentially. False, futile, or empty is their best way of translating it. Guys, let's get some Briar Patch Brew going here. Main question of the book. Let's see how this one goes. All right, we're going to let that steep for a long time since it doesn't have any tea in it. Any Camellia sinensis. The main question of the book appears in 1:3. What profit is there for a person for all which he labors and puts under the sun? Basic question repeated throughout the book. Contains two key ideas that are important for understanding. So the under the sun part is important, and the prophet part is important. Interesting. Man, Belcher is crushing on this one. A lot of detail here from Belcher. So there is no prophet, but there is a portion. He distinguishes between these two ideas. So if something doesn't have profit, it doesn't help you to get ahead or improve, you're not better than anyone, etc. There is no profit to life under the sun, i.e. life without God or outside of the heavenly realm, but there may be a portion. Things may go better for you generally in certain ways. That's very intriguing to me. Kohelet approaches wisdom differently in Ecclesiastes compared to Proverbs. In the book of Proverbs, the question is, how do you know? The answer is, because I learned it. Kohelet approaches differently. In Ecclesiastes, the question, how do you know, is answered, because I observed it. On the basis of Kohelet's epistemology is best described as autonomous, and his use of wisdom to investigate the world means that he will use the powers of reason in light of experience and observation to understand the world. Thus, one cannot assume that wisdom, as used by Kohelet, means the same thing as it does in the book of Proverbs. Rather, Kohelet's use of wisdom appears subversive because it is not rooted in the fear of Yahweh, but is based upon experience and observation. Oh, this is very intriguing. Guys, this is super insightful. Yeah, it's very helpful to know that the author approaches wisdom so differently. Everything that Kohelet examines in life fails to satisfy. The wise rarely experience the benefits of wisdom, and the fool rarely experiences the negative consequences of foolishness. This is a problem that Kohelet considers throughout the book. He sees no difference between the wise person and the foolish person because they ultimately appear to suffer the same fate. Observation versus absorption. Are you talking about the contrast of the two different views of wisdom? They constitute the author's resignation that life does not appear. Yes, see, that's important. When he says just enjoy things, it's actually a way of him saying he gives up almost, right? Even though he's not. I got you. Yeah, Kara. I think you're right. Kohelet merely observes, whereas the author of Proverbs is absorbed in the way that you're talking about here. Yes, Dad. I'm letting Briar Patch go a long time. Check this out. Oh, it looks amazing. Looks amazing. Very excited. Probably has to do with the age of the writer. Probably a contributor. Skinny, I love these. I'm going to become a youth pastor, and this is helping me see what to do. Oh, awesome, Skinny. Yeah, let me know if you have any further questions. This is essentially what I do. I'm just reading right now through some Old Testament introductions and surveys. This gives you the big picture of the book, and then I'm going to sort it out into concise ideas that seem to keep popping up over and over, right? Like you've seen just in our time here, our topic of Hebel is going to need to come up, and I probably need to mention that. I'm going to need to talk about a lot of the major themes. Those are going to come up. I should probably talk about Kohelet and a little bit about what the phrase Ecclesiastes means, his different view of wisdom. You know, all of those are going to come up in my introductory sermon because I need to set the framework properly for my people so that they understand how to read the book well. Yeah, it looks great, Stead. I bet that's because of BlackBerry, right? Yes, Kara, and he sure availed himself of that access, right? He had many wives and concubines, so. Yep, indeed. Indeed. Three passages are important for understanding Kohelet's view of God. The first two demonstrate Kohelet recognizes God's existence, but does not allow this reality to solve the so-called problems of life. In 9:1-2, Kohelet states that the righteous, the wise, and their deeds are in the hand of God. Such a statement could be comforting because the hand of God brings protection and confidence to the righteous and the wise. However, Kohelet goes on to state that a person cannot really know whether love or hate awaits him in life because there's no difference between the righteous and the wicked. Ecclesiastes 5:1-7 is a passage that deals with the worship of God in terms of prayer and making vows. It concludes with a statement on the fear of God. A first inclination might be to understand. Oh, I left the music too high. Sorry, guys. Oh, I turned it down to a somewhat reasonable amount. Let me turn it down a little bit more. This is just a jam. That's what threw me off. Too much of a jam. Really bopping on this one. Stead says, to be honest, when you said you had 1.7k subs, I totes thought Twitch. So when you said you wanted to get 10k, I was like, what? Oh, that's funny, Stead. No, it's, yeah, I just mean on YouTube. I'm not concerned about Twitch subs. The money doesn't matter to me. It's the reach It's the reach that we have, how many people we are reaching for Christ. Of course, those things seem to be correlated at times, right? If you're reaching more people, it seems like more people want to reach out and help. But yeah, no, that's crazy. That's crazy, Stead. 1.7K subs on Twitch. Holy smokes. I mean, that's a full-time job right there. That's crazy. No, I was just talking YouTube. That's pretty funny, Stead. It concludes with a statement on the fear of God. A first inclination might be to understand this passage as teaching the traditional view. However, in light of the fact that Kohelet does not consider God a solution to life's difficulties, perhaps his view of God in 5:1-7 is not so positive. Instead of reverence for God, Kohelet might be urging caution before a God who cannot be counted on to solve life problems. The fear of Yahweh in Proverbs represents reverence for God, which leads to a life submitted to God. However, the realities associated with the fear of God in Proverbs are questioned by Kohelet. This view of God would certainly correspond to the period of Solomon's life when his wives turned his heart away from Yahweh. There you go. Stead says, and that'll bring you far. When you focus on the people and resources to share, you'll do well. Thank you so much, Stead. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I think you're right, and it's very important. Did I hear a king's name? Solomon? How you doing, Jess? You having a good morning? I guess it's afternoon now. You know all the kings. Oh, wow. Oh, you studied them all. I got you. Oh, very good. Getting some laundry done. Important. What up, Isaac? Good to see you. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. How, therefore, does this book help people struggling with the meaning of life? Eatonus has observed there are no other known examples of wisdom instruction like this one, juxtaposing two opposing worldviews. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think that means this book can be very powerful. The struggle of Kohelet is not unknown to the rest of the Old Testament. The prophets Jeremiah and Habakkuk wrestle with it. Dialogues of Job with his friends center around it. Certain psalms explore it. It's possible that someone can forfeit the very foundation of wisdom by trying to explain the problems of life, which elucidates the struggles of Psalm 73, microcosm of Kohelet's struggle. Interesting. In Psalm 73, a change occurs when the psalmist enters the temple and from that renewed perspective sees the true fate of the wicked. Hey, what up, Go 999? How you doing? So... Psalm 73 might be a book that we can turn to. In this way, the book of Ecclesiastes remains relevant for the church in every age as God's people struggle with the meaning of life in a fallen, broken world. Same discussion of Romans 8. 1 Corinthians 1, perhaps. No, go 999. No, this is the stream we're doing today. Kara says, imagine living as a king and how difficult it would be to find meaning in your life with anything you wanted at your fingertips. Talking about shallowness. Yes. Very key idea. Very key idea. I think you're right, Kara. Should we try this now instead? I think we should try it now. Let me go to the big screen. Here we go, guys. Cheers. Briar Patch Brew. Oh, very nice. Not overly tart. Most hibiscus teas I drink are too tart. Not this one. Oh, lovely. Lovely. Very good. That's fantastic. Great tea. Yeah, very nice and light. Good flavors. Delicious. Delicious. Love it. Love it, love it. It's really good. It's really, really good, Stead. Yeah. When Kohelet speaks about the frustration that can accompany wisdom, remember the commandments that God has given for our benefit. And that perfect wisdom comes from above and is manifest in Jesus Christ, the very wisdom of God. When Kohelet struggles with the frustrations that arise in labor, remember the exhortation of the Apostle Paul that our labor is not in vain in the Lord. When eating and drinking appear to be the only pleasure in this life, remember that whatever we do, including eating and drinking, we do for the glory of God. When Kohelet struggles with the apparent injustice of life, remember the King of Righteousness, who has established righteousness. When Kohelet denies there is any difference between the destiny of humans and animals, remember that mankind only in his pride is like the beasts. When Kohelet struggles with the fact that righteous die like the wicked, and there is no human activity after death, remember that God will ransom the righteous from the power of the grave, and that Christ has conquered sin and death. When Sarah Longstreet died prematurely in a car accident, her parents wrote the following as part of her obituary. While most would call the car accident that took Sarah's life a tragedy, her family knows that it was the case of God calling one of his children home. Certainly unexpected, but an indication that Sarah's work on earth was complete. For those who read of Sarah's accident and feel that a young life has been cut short, the Longstreets believe that Sarah would want them to know what the Bible says, for me to live as Christ and to die as gain, and she would challenge you to consider where you will spend eternity. The Longstreets were able to place the loss of their child within a worldview that included the sovereignty of a loving God who was working out his purpose for their lives, even in the midst of life's tragedies. Love it. Love it, love it. Great conclusion. Yes, Dad. What a treat. Honestly, what a treat. They are so delicious and so enjoyable. I very much appreciate your generosity. I really do. Thank you so much. Go 999 says, at the beginning of my journey with Christ, I was so happy and loved God and felt so free from sin. I've really been struggling with sin lately, and I thought God did not want me. I'm on a better path now, though. That's awesome, Go 999. And here's the thing. You're going to struggle, you're going to have your ups and downs, you're going to have trials, etc. Never wander far from God. Never stray completely from him. Always come back to God. Rely upon him. Focus on him. Trust in him. Even when things seem difficult and dark, even when you can't see the answers or see clearly what he's doing. Don't ever let that drive you from God, but instead drive to God with it. Okay, guys, I want to go through these as well, but for now, let's start our Canvas document. An Introduction to Ecclesiastes. And here's what I essentially want to do with this one. Boom. I just want to put down, we're going to glance through our notes and just put down the major ideas and see how we can develop them. I already know my intro is going to be Jerem bars. So we'll include that right off the bat. And I like how they reference Psalm 73 here at the end. We can maybe make Psalm 73 certain verses, introductory verses that we talk about. So we'll put Psalm 73 here. Blessed to be a blessing, am I right? Aw, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Kara, haha, people who know God well are strangely unsad at death. I'm one of them. Yeah, it's a massive difference. It's a massive difference in worldview for sure. Atheists may play the part that they're not afraid of anything, but in reality, I think they really struggle with these answers, especially when it comes to the end of their lives. You did not scare me, Connor. And here I just want to talk about my journey in selecting a book. And then here I'll talk about Psalm 73 is a little Ecclesiastes. Okay, boom. Then I'm going to use Jerem Barr's testimony. I don't know if you guys know Jerem Barrs. Awesome author. Talks about evangelism a lot. He was saved because a roommate of his read the first 2 chapters of the book of Ecclesiastes to him. Really cool story. Nice, Connor. I hope it was delicious. Look at that. That's a long testimony. Ooh, buddy. Well, let me put it over here then. Maybe I make it the whole page. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Jerem Bars is awesome, by the way. You guys don't know him. Size 19 it is. That covers the whole page. And up here we can just put Jerem Bars testimony. Am I spelling that right? How do I spell Jerem Bars? Jerram. Two R's. Put that up there. And I think the church neglects this book because it's not black and white how they want it to be. That's why they neglect it. It's a shame, but it's true. So tomorrow I'll just be giving people key themes to keep in mind on their journey. And I think that'll be helpful. And then it's at this point that let's just drop our key ideas in. So first I want to discuss wisdom. So I want to discuss biblical genre, specifically wisdom and man, that's good tea. Love it. Fantastic. Let's do another cup. Instead, I'm joking, but I'm gonna drink all your tea in like one sitting, one Bible study prep. 13 cups of tea. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm just like pounding it, man. It's like, that's great. I think I'll have another. I think I'll drink it now. I think I'll drink it now. It's pretty funny. Oh, nice, Connor. Sounds cool, man. A lot of people told me to watch that one. I didn't get a chance to. I just don't watch much TV, you know? Just don't watch much TV. I'm gonna leave the old bag in there, too. Just gonna double bag it. Like a real thug would. Double bagging it. No, this is actually a shirt made out of denim. It's a denim shirt that I thrifted in Phoenix. That's about to be delicious, I can tell you that much. It's about to be delicious. Skinny says, hey, if you get the chance, pray for me, please. I'm going to a possible interview at Albertsons later. My name is Josh. Yeah, no problem. I can pray for you right now, man. Hey, no problem, Kara. Take care. Have a good evening. Thanks for hanging out so much with me today. I hope you have a great night, okay? Father God, I pray right now for Josh. I pray that you would help them and bless them at their interview, that it would go well, and that you would help them to get the job and the position, and you would utilize this to draw them closer to you and help them to be more effective as a witness and a Christian in the world in which you have placed us, and draw them in a closer relationship to you, Lord. Please give them direction, guidance. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen, amen. Oh, Twitch broke? I'm sorry, Stead. Let me look at my restream. It shows still online, but that is not necessarily a good indicator of what's happening. So, and I'm not dropping any frames, so I don't know why that happened, my man. Glad to have you here. I don't know if you saw, Stead, but I went for another cup, and I left the old bag in there, so we're double bagging it. Double bagging it with a second cup. Looking forward to it. That's gonna be nice when it's finished. So, biblical genre. And let's see, we need to do wisdom. Is the primary genre. There you go, Stead. Bro. The one is the old bag. The one is the old bag. Yeah, we'll see you, Kara. Take care. That's funny. You're awesome. Acting as though I'm... Dude, he's hardcore. He double bags. Yo, we're talking about tea. Oh, I love it. Exactly right. Exactly right. How did one person put it in here? I thought they said something like not promises. No, I don't want to search all my notes. I want to search this notes document. I can't do that? That's a real bummer. That's a really big bummer. I'll just put something like principles, not promises. So Connor, that was a private production, good old Strawberry Pariso, and they no longer make it. So I don't have to worry about your threats. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right away on this one, rather than holding anything back. And I'm just going to tell people up front, we should interpret Ecclesiastes as wisdom meets poetry. And then first I'll deal with poetry. Poetry, prayer, Book of Psalms. Good to go. Good to go. Yeah, Josh, it was nasty tea. The one that he's referring to. The one I'm drinking right now is fantastic, but the one he's referring to was nasty. And they like to make fun of me by making me drink it. And it's at this point that I think I can quote the Ecclesiastes that says, they're no better than the animals. Yeah, no problem, Skinny. This tea is delicious. The tea that Connor's referring to is a tea that they like to use to poke fun at me. Let's go back to the Belcher one, where he talks about that it doesn't always work out how it's supposed to. Carlton, so what is your point about Ecclesiastes right now? So my introduction is going to be essentially, I'm going to use Jerem Barr's testimony. I don't know if you've read Jerem Barr's testimony, but Jerem Barrs was about to kill himself, commit suicide, and instead he didn't, and his roommate read him the first 2 chapters of Ecclesiastes, and it opened his eyes, and he got saved. So I'm going to talk about how can a book that is so powerful be so neglected by the church? And my answer is going to be because it's not black and white. And the church loves their black and white doctrine. They love for it to be clear, crystal, sharp delineations, and easy boundaries. They don't want to have any confusion in their interpretation. And so that's going to be my intro, and I'm going to say that's why I chose Ecclesiastes, because we need to play in the gray a little bit. I'm first going to talk about biblical genre. I'm going to suggest that we interpret Ecclesiastes as a combination of Psalms meets Proverbs, okay? Both go together. We need to take the best of poetry, okay? Prayers, Book of Psalms, feelings and emotions on full display. This is how I feel about this, God. We need to take the best of that and read it into Proverbs, recognizing that sometimes in the Ecclesiastes, he's going to state some things that aren't entirely orthodox, but they are properly interpreted, good feelings and emotions based, calling out and crying out to God. So we're going to take the best of that, the best of the Psalms, how we interpret that, and combine it with the best of the Proverbs. What is it about Proverbs? They're wisdom literature. They are principles, not promises. These are general ways in which you should structure your life. And so if you can interpret Ecclesiastes in that way, that's going to help you not to overly apply some of the things he says and not lose heart like he has. Then I'm going to talk about how when it comes to wisdom literature, there are different types, and Ecclesiastes approaches the topic of wisdom differently than the book of Proverbs does, and I'm going to talk about those differences. And then I'm probably going to address some of the major themes. I'll probably talk about his phrase like, vanity of vanities, everything is vanities. And then I'll probably talk about the phrase under the sun, what that means. And we'll put some of those ideas together so that people have a decent framework to interpret the book by going forward. We like it easy, shrug. Yep, there you go. Sometimes we like it easy. Oh, Debo, good to see you. Yeah, several people have told me Twitch be bugging out right now, so I don't know what to say. I'm glad you're here, but I don't know why Twitch is having struggles. I don't. So that's where I'm at right now, Carlton. And again, it's just going to be an introductory sermon. I might reference a few verses here and there. So here, Destiny of the Animals. Yeah, I'm going to read this. Ecclesiastes 3:18-21. So that's going to be an example of him. And I can give the example of the wicked prospering. Oh, I closed my chat. Why did I close my chat? Let's see. Welcome to 2021 Twitch broke. Nice. Carlton, when I wrote a paper on it, I wrote about how I thought it was a retelling of Genesis 3 and its effects because you see similar points. My professor agreed. If I can find it, I'd love to send it. That'd be great, Carlton. Yeah, shoot it over to me on Discord if you can find it. And I can totally see what you're saying, and several of the introductions and surveys that I looked at made that point. That they didn't say a retelling per se, but they said he's wrestling with the ideas of Genesis chapter 3, right? Oh man, that's good tea. Love it. Love it. Oh, I didn't know that. Carlton, that's pretty cool. Gravity, huh? I do like Gravity. Josh says, I'll make sure to do Ecclesiastes when I become a youth pastor. That seems really important, especially since it's kind of being ignored. I agree. And it's actually super relevant to our society right now. Super relevant to our society. And in fact, you reminded me, I'm going to put that down. Because what our society is trying to do is pursue life under the sun. Thanks for saying that, Connor. I appreciate that. Carlton says, and the cyclical realities that take place. That's right. I don't know, Debo. Yeah, several people were struggling over on Twitch. Don't know. It's not on my end for sure. And as you can see, the YouTube stream is just fine. I've only dropped 0.5% frames, which is perfectly acceptable. And I'm looking at the restream, and the restream isn't showing any issues. So, don't know. I got you, Stead. That's fair. Yes, C-Pix lighter. That's exactly right. Stead, I don't even know who C-Pix is, but I want to go sub them just so I can get the lighter. Just so I can get the lighter and wave it during Jess's streams. Maybe if Jess ever makes affiliate, we can get her a lighter emote. Here's where I can introduce the retribution principle. Carlton says, oh, that's dope. I'm not the only one seeing that then. Yeah, Ecclesiastes is deep, and there's all the different ways people interpret it, like you said, sometimes in a faulty way. That's 100% right, man. And some people, here's the other thing, Carlton. Yeah, it really is, Carlton. And I haven't visited it in a long time, to be honest. But here's another thing. So many Christians want to take the gray out of it to make it easier to interpret. And by doing so, they neuter it of its power. We shouldn't do that. We should leave the gray in it. So that's something I'll talk about as well. Stead says, Claire Pix is a great streamer. She plays music on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And the emotes was like the first thing that got me into sub. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm going to write that down too. You got me all fired up. That's awesome, Josh. Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it, man. Really great book. Really great book. Oh, come on, Stead. Don't be or not Stead, Connor. Don't be cringe, man. Don't beg for subs on my behalf. Connor, come on now. Kreeft. I have a lot from Kreeft. Is it called Ecclesiastes? Does he have like a commentary on it? Kreeft, Three Philosophies of Life. Ecclesiastes, Life as Vanity. Job, Life as Suffering. Or Job, Life is Suffering. Is it this one? Life is Vanity? Okay, cool. I'll add this to my my saved books so I know to return to it. Cool. The Bible is the greatest of books, and Ecclesiastes is the only book of philosophy, pure philosophy, mere philosophy in the Bible. It is no surprise then that Ecclesiastes is the greatest of all books of philosophy. Really cool. That's a great quote right off the bat. Yeah, very nice. I haven't even gotten to commentaries yet. I can't wait to start digging in more depth. So now I want to quote when he essentially says the wicked and the righteous have the same fate. Because that shows his idea that he thinks this is meaningless as well. There you go. The wise have eyes in their heads, while the fool walks in darkness, but I came to realize the same fate overtakes them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? This too is meaningless. No, you're not getting me off track, Carlton. I've mostly put my message together in my head at this point. Now it's just kind of getting it all down. Stead. That's about as close as you can get on YouTube, huh? Love it. That's funny. Man, that's good tea. Big fan. So it's not always a this-that relationship. What that means is... Let me think. So I might want to quote the Proverbs here. And Job. There we go. The improvisation is unstoppable. Devo. That's awesome. Oh, man. So the conclusion here is we need to interpret it as both poetry and wisdom. Then my second point is going to be not all wisdom is created equal. Because the author of Ecclesiastes goes about driving wisdom in a very different way than Proverbs. Oh, that's awesome, Carlton. Yeah, super cool, man. I'm really excited to get into this book. I really am. I never thought I'd preach through this book, to be honest. Man, that was great tea. Love it. So, my next point is going to have Ecclesiastes 2:14 to 15 in it. And the point here is that they use different starting points. Actually, I can talk about the retribution principle down here. Let me think. Like Proverbs, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Whereas in Ecclesiastes, he basically just says, like, I applied my mind to know wisdom. Is there a verse? Fear of the Lord? Proverbs 1:7. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes and let's just look for wisdom. I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I applied my mind to study and to explore by wisdom all that was done under the heavens. So Ecclesiastes 1:12-13. Completely different approach. All right. Stead says, now since you don't stream on Tuesday, you can check Claire Picks out for a bit. That's a good point. I should probably swing by and see how she's doing. That's awesome. I'm assuming it's a she, Claire, after all. I followed her after I saw your guys' emotes. I followed her. I still haven't caught her live yet, though. Proverbs 1:7. Carlton already had it. I had to search for it, but Carlton already had it. No chapter verse bot, indeed. I'm going to encourage people here to read with, let me think. Yeah, this will be helpful. The next thing we need to point to Carlton says, some people think the whole argument is from the vantage point of someone under the sun. So some of the points made should be taken with that in mind. Oh, you already got it. There you go. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Stead, amazing. Only a mod for 5 people. Oh, man. That's fantastic, Stead. So the next insight I want to draw people's attention to is a little bit of a word study on the phrase vanity of vanities. Yes, exactly right. Hebel. Hebel. And that'll probably be my third and last point. And then I think I will end with a bit of a commendation to not rob the gray from the book. That's funny, Stead. Yes, you're right, Carlton. We ran into it several times today. Chabel. And indeed, I can just look it up. Chabel, Bible word study, open in a floating window. And let's look at how many times it's used in right here. 38 times, 38 out of 73 total times. It's used 73 times in the Old Testament, 38 in Ecclesiastes. What is 38 divided by 73? It's not quite half, but... It is half. It's over half. 52%. That's crazy. Didn't look like half, but I guess 38 is on the high side of the 30s and 73 is on the low side of the 70s. Carlton. I thought this guy was an engineer. He can't do basic arithmetic? So we'll reference Ecclesiastes 1:2 for this one. And then let's go to the bottom of our notes, because I know it wasn't Hess. Who was it? I think it was Belcher who was talking about, yes, right here. Breath. Breath or wind. Hey, no problem. Good luck in your interview, okay, Josh? You're going to do great, man. Take care. Have a good rest of your day, okay? God bless you. It was good to hang out with you today. Hopefully we see you more in the future, okay? Yep, we'll see you, Josh. Take care. Boom. Psalm 39:6. The commentaries actually say that Psalm 79:3 is, or 79. What am I talking about? Psalm 73, excuse me, is a mini Ecclesiastes. Let's read Psalm. I might go to that one instead because it's a single verse. Surely everyone goes around like a mere phantom. In vain they rush about heaping up wealth without knowing whose it will finally be. That's not a bad, that's a really good one. 39:6. But Psalm 73, they say, the entire psalm is a mini Ecclesiastes. Man, you can tell I'm getting tired. Surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold, for I envied the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They are free from common human burdens. They are not plagued by human ills. Therefore, since pride is their necklace, they clothe themselves with violence. From their callous hearts comes iniquity. Their evil imaginations have no limits. They scoff. They speak malice with arrogance. They threaten oppression. Their mouths lay claim to heaven. Their tongues take possession of the earth. Therefore, their people turn to them and drink up waters in abundance. They say, how would God know? Does the Most High know anything? Again, God is not really there. He's basically aloof. He's not present. This is what the wicked are like, always free of care. They go on amassing wealth. Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure and washed my hands in innocence. All day long I have been afflicted. Every morning brings new punishments. If I had spoken out like that, I would have betrayed your children. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply. Till I entered the sanctuary of God, then I understood their final destiny. This verse 17 is kind of like the end of the book of Ecclesiastes. Surely you place them on slippery ground, you cast them down into ruin. How suddenly they are destroyed, completely swept up by terrors. And it goes on. That's awesome, Carlton. Super cool, man. Yeah, and I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really strong on the Psalms. I just don't know them very well, you know? Because when he is confused, he goes to the sanctuary. That is where, exactly. He ends up almost having a Proverbs moment, right? Where he steps out of the Ecclesiastes realm and steps into Proverbs 1:7 and goes, oh, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. I get it now, right? Yes, exactly right. Love it, my man. Ecclesiastes 8:17 is going to be key here. Oh no, you're good, Carlton. You don't get me off track. That's why we do this, right? So we can play in the mud. You know what I mean? That's like what we're doing. That's why I do sermon prep, and that's why I do it live, so we can all play in the mud together. I'm gonna read Psalm 39:6 tomorrow morning because I think it's a perfect example, right? And I wouldn't have had that if you hadn't told me. No, it's great, man. It's great. You don't get me off track. You keep me all motivated and going. Exactly right. False, futile, or empty. Something obviously false, futile, or empty. Yes, preaching this tomorrow, Carlton. Yeah, exactly right. So preaching this tomorrow. This is the broad overview. I want to highlight the big themes people need to be looking for as we go through the book. And then I'm probably going to spend half the year preaching through the entire book. Yeah. I'm going to preach verse by verse, chapter by chapter through the entire book and cover the entire thing. It'll probably take me at least 25, 26 weeks if I'm looking at the outlines correctly. That's correct. Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah, no, it's a really good question, man. And the other thing that I have in my mind is it's very repetitive, right? It's very repetitive at times. He repeats some of the same stuff in chapter 2 that he repeats in chapter 4 that he repeats in chapter 7. If I don't want to be constantly preaching the same sermon over and over, how am I going to do it? So both of those things are on my mind. Here's the one other approach I thought of taking with it. Next week, I could take all of the different themes out and analyze the book thematically, right? So here are all the times that he says that being wise is meaningless. Here are all the times he says that accumulating wealth is meaningless. Here are all the times that he says, and I could maybe preach separate sermons on those topics. So both of those are tough questions that I don't know the answers to yet. But I will be doing a full treatment of the book. I guess that's what I mean to communicate. I'm not quite sure how. I'm going to treat it yet. But I will be doing a full treatment of the book, such that when we finish, there is a sense of we did all of Ecclesiastes. You see what I mean? Whatever that means. I'm not going to be doing a cursory overview, and I'm not going to be doing a brief, here are my favorite passages out of Ecclesiastes. It's going to be whatever I would consider a full treatment. In the past, it's easy to say verse by verse, chapter by chapter when you're in the Pauline epistles, when you're in the gospel accounts. It's much harder when you're in a book like this. So I don't know quite what it looks like yet, but yes. Yeah. So it's a good question, man. It's a good question. Kohelet means the preacher, but it also comes from Ecclesiastes, which means the gathering. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, my man. No, we are diving in deep. But I actually think properly interpreted, this book, well expounded, could be like the perfect antidote for our current society and culture. I really believe that. I really believe that. If we are trying to create churches that can properly engage with the world around them, they need to have a thorough going understanding of this book, I think. Yeah, right here, Andrew Hill. Retelling of Genesis 3. Yeah, Andrew Hill and John Walton talked about that. Where was the discussion of Kohelet? I had it somewhere. Hebel. Where is Kohelet? I think it just means preacher, right? Carlton says, I was thinking of the parables with what he uses to ground the ultimate good, what the Latin calls a summum bonum, and then looking at the garden/fall. Oh. Oh, I see. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because it's under the sun, right? That's the perspective from which he writes. Under the sun, under the sun, under the sun. This seems or appears good to us. Yeah, interesting. Oh, awesome, Stead. I hope it's a good volume too and adds a good vibe to the stream. I enjoy just chilling and listening to lo-fi, you know? Oh, that's pretty cool, Carlton. Oh, cool. Thanks, Debo. Yeah, that's interesting, Carlton. I like that. All right, guys. I think that's it. That is it, team. Now, I was hoping to get a start on the first week's sermon after. I eventually want to be 2 sermons ahead. But I have family in town, and I don't want to leave them hanging. So what I think I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to call it here, now that I've essentially finished this. And maybe we'll set ourselves up so that next week we can really make a ton of progress and get 2 sermons done. I think that'll be the best approach. Nice. I like it. I think it's going to be good, guys. I think it's going to be good. Yeah, no problem, Carlton. Send it to me when you get a chance. No big deal. Oh, I'll have to check out the Creef book. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to dig in depth. Hey, I understand, man. I understand. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out. Man, some of you guys hung out this whole time. Appreciate that very much. You guys are awesome. Debo, Carlton, Stead, thank you so much for being here. Appreciated Kara being here for a long time. I think we made good progress. I'm really excited to preach this, and I'm really excited to dig deeper in this book. Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure, guys. I'm going to go hang out with family. We're going to have a good little family evening and probably play a game together. I don't know if we'll grill, but we're going to hang out, have a good family night. And then I'll be prepared to preach this tomorrow. We have our community night tomorrow on our normal channel. And that's about it, guys. How do you guys feel about the sermon prep streams being moved to all Saturday and being on the separate channel like this? I think this gives the right vibe. We don't get a lot of immaturity, which, no problem. I want to be there for them. You know, I want to be there for the kids that have lots of questions, try to help answer their questions, try to pray for them, all that type of stuff. But it was interrupting sermon prep. So that was the goal, to separate off the sermon prep, keep it its own tight-knit group, a little more mature. You like it, Carlton? Stead? Good, nice and chill. Debo likes it. Okay, that's the feedback I wanted to hear because I'm enjoying it. Helps me focus a little bit more too. When I was doing sermon prep, we did a sermon prep for probably a month where we did it in the regular streams, and I was never able to get a sermon done because I was constantly answering questions, trying to pray for people, etc. And there's room for that. That's what the Pastor Tanner channel has become. Pastor Tanner channel has become where we build community, we pray for people, we teach lessons to try and help people, and we try to answer people's questions. That's essentially what the Pastor Tanner channel has become, and that's what that community is. But we still needed room for sermon prep. This is my job. It still needs to get done, and I love participating in this with you guys. So I'm glad to hear that good feedback, and it brings a little different vibe. It brings a little different crew around, which I like too. So I'm glad it's working. That was the goal. It feels like it's fulfilling its purpose. You guys are awesome and amazing. I hope you guys have a great day, okay? And as you guys know, same place tomorrow morning, though, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be preaching this sermon, a little bit of an introduction to Ecclesiastes for the crew. And then we'll be getting into verse by verse, chapter by chapter exegesis of the thing afterwards. So I still need to work through some ideas surrounding it, but I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate all of you a whole lot. Okay? Take care. God bless. We'll see you guys another time.